Welcome to Bloody Good Horror.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be discussing something about lambs. The Other Lamb, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Nailed
It's
it.
not the first lamb.
Nailed it. Joining me tonight, first up from Richmond, Virginia. Quick check tonight. Is there snow where there's not supposed to be snow? Caitlin.
There might be ice coming in.
All right. The world's a hellscape out there. Next up from Maryland. I think they get snow wherever you are, unless there's some kind of like rich people biodome situation there that I don't
It's a
know
bubble,
about.
yeah.
Yeah. John, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Next
How
up
are you?
from the land of lots of snow, Joe. There's supposed to be snow where you are.
It's out of hand.
Yeah.
Like the piles of snow that I've shoveled are now taller than me on the side of my
Can I
driveway.
check in with you on your thing you repeat constantly about how much you just love shoveling snow manually? Do we still feel that way?
Still,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%, hands down. I'm all for it. I got up at 5 a.m. yesterday or Monday, bundled up, got out there. Love it. It's the lawn mowing of the winter.
All I'm saying is, Joe, you know, like a certain percentage of people die every year from heart attacks while shoveling snow, right? Like,
Yeah, because those people are weak and feeble.
Okay. Okay.
I think
I
Joe's
mean-
kind of counting on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know these people personally, but like,
Take
and
me
I'm
away.
sorry if your loved one is one of them, but I am better than them.
Okay. Got it. Take me away. Snow. Last up tonight's from Indiana. Casey, what's your weather situation right now?
Dookie.
Yeah.
It's the same as Joe's. It's a lot of snow and ice and coldness.
It's just kind of normal here in the Northeast. Just kind of regular amount of snow and rain and cold for this time of year. But I
But
understand.
Casey, have you had like multiple snowstorms? Because we've had like 3 in the last month, which has
No,
really
you-
been the problem.
All the ones that you've had up to this point this year, I think we've only gotten a couple inches at a time. This
Yeah.
last one was a bit. We got all of it, but
Because this last one wasn't even like half as bad as the one we got before this one. So,
oh really?
yeah, I mean it's a hellscape here, but
Well,
you know.
shout out to we have a bunch of Slack people in Texas who are just getting the worst of it right now. So shout out to all you guys without power and internet if you're somehow hearing this. Solidarity.
God, I hope you're not. Like, I hope you're not like in the middle of like a power outage and also listening to us talk
Yeah.
about this movie.
What else are you gonna do, Joe?
Just
That's the
focus
point.
on survival is all I'm saying. Just, you know.
Like, what a double kick in the pants! Not to spoil it, but like, if you don't have power for 3 days in like 0-degree
Okay,
weather
yeah.
and you watch this movie,
I mean, Joe, it's possible the last movie some of these people watched was this, so they could listen along.
dear
Oh.
God.
Yeah.
Well, it's
John, how do you feel
I-
about being responsible for that?
Last ever. Just, there it is.
Well, we're creeping up on the anniversary, right? Like we found the like chat of when we discussed
Yep.
going to see The Hunt in the theater. And like imagine like that movie was fine, but like imagine if like that was the last thing I saw before
It's
I contracted
Joe's tweet,
COVID.
like 12:23 p.m. I refuse to die for the hunt.
Like, I don't think I'm willing to go down.
Then
for
the
this one.
conversation goes on. Then an hour later, I'm like, I can't see my work sending us home. Like I don't. I
Oh,
literally
yeah.
haven't been there in a year, so that's cool.
Yeah, I made that one comment like I can't imagine working from home, like because there's a 1-year-old running around.
You
and
said
I'll
you'll
kill
go
myself.
crazy. You'll kill. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
And now turns
You
out
know what
my
it
wife's
was,
the only
Joe?
one who's
I
going
know
crazy.
not all of you guys have played the Fallout series, but it's just like reading that text thread was like in Fallout when
It
you
was
stumble across an abandoned cabin and there's like a skeleton sitting at a computer and you like knock the skeleton out of the way and like get onto their diary entries. Like that's what it read. Like someone died here and now
Yeah.
I'm going to like dig up the clues and find out what happened.
It was very sort of eerie because
Yeah.
there was a lot of discussion just around like, well, you know, I'm sure they'll open stuff back up soon. And
Oh,
like,
God. Sweet,
All that.
sweet summer children.
Yeah.
Anyway, Joe, speaking of 1 year into the pandemic, what are we drinking tonight?
Beer guts.
Oh wow. The other lamb. I want to say Kimmy Schmidt prequel. I think is like the origin story of the cult that takes place in the Kimmy Schmidt world.
What's his name? Like Pastor Dennis or so? What do they call him?
I forget.
I
Yeah.
should look
Yeah, I
this
forget
up.
too.
But yeah, it works.
But anyway, so it just follows, I don't know, a band of just ragtag travelers on a trip across country. And in honor, I guess, honor probably isn't the right word. I picked a beer from the good folks at Almanac Beer Company. That's all the way out in Alameda, California, which I don't believe I've ever been to. But I picked their beer, Base Camp Imperial Pilsner, John.
Oh, good job, dude.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Actually, short story. I really wanted to use this beer called What I Did on My Summer Vacation. But it turns
It's
out
not
that
really
I actually used
summer.
it for another
Yeah.
another episode. But
There was
Leslie
no,
and I
there was
talked
no
about
like
that, and-
patriarchal sex cult lager or anything out there.
I
Disappointed.
mean, I'm sure there is, but so anyway, Almanac Beer Company out in California, Base Camp Imperial Pilsner. I don't think I've done a ton of Pilsner, but they're a lager, a little bit more on like sort of the crisper side. Like I think your Budweiser would be considered a Pilsner, if I remember correctly. But you know, your Stella Artois, if you will. So definitely like light, a little more refreshing. This one, they use a decent amount of hop, so it does have a little bit of a bite to it, but still definitely more on like sort of the refreshing side. They call it Imperial because it is like 6.5% alcohol, which is pretty high for this style of beer. But it's I don't know. Most Imperials would get up there a little higher than this. So I think you could still drink 6 or 7 of these and feel fine. Almanac, full disclosure, I've only had a couple of other beers, but everything I've really enjoyed. But for all intents and purposes, I think they're doing great stuff. And you should definitely check this one out if you can get your hands on it.
I'm sure
I think
they'll.
I've had their.
I'm sure they'll be happy to get your encouragement, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine they're listening right now.
Right.
What's their almanacbeer.com, I believe, is their website. And good people,
Love it. All right. Thank you for that, Joe. Let's
Thanks, man.
do it. Let's take a quick break and review The Other Lamb.
This is it, Senator. Your big break in TV. From the prime time.
Main feature.
Welcome to Prime Time, John Schnars.
It's the only time. It's the time I operate, I guess.
You're the Deion Sanders of this crew, wouldn't you say, John?
Yeah, 2 positions, multiple sports. You got it. Offense
Yep.
and defense, right? I know it's winter right now, but you have strong dad who just raked leaves vibes going on right now. Just want you to know that. Like,
Yeah. I was hauling wood earlier today because I wanted to get the wood inside
Are you?
before the weather.
you trying to get me all hot and bothered, Schnars?
Listen,
Hauling
I love
wood.
a good fire. I like a good fireplace fire, so
Bet you do.
gotta
That
keep
hair.
the wood box
Yeah.
stocked.
Cool. Just keep saying all these words. All right, John.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
John. John, please bring us the word of the day.
John, what exactly are we referring to when you say wood box? 'Cause that's a euphemism.
That's what
right?
it's called. No, I'm pretty sure that is a. I didn't look this up, but I think
Hauling
that's
wood to the wood box.
Yeah. Today's word, Eric. Polygyny.
Mhm.
That's Polygyny. A lot of Y's. Polygyny. So polygyny, maybe if you read it, you would kind of see this, but it is it is polygamy in which a man has more than one wife. So this is like a
Wait.
sub
Oh, so it's like
categorization.
this is
of
like a
polygamy.
genus and species kind of thing.
Correct.
Like
So the
overall, this is bigamy. No, it's polygamy, but the specific kind of polygamy is what the word that
Correct.
you are saying.
And just for your edification, the
Mhm.
opposite, or the version where one woman has many husbands, polyandry.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
I mean, that's a
Mhm.
baller move. Can we do
It's,
look
you
at
know,
can we do a movie about that?
great work if you can get it, I guess. Comes to us, I mean, you can probably guess poly, meaning many. And then they say the Greek word gune, gain, I don't know. But, you know, it a lot of words that we're familiar with.
Got it.
Similar. I'm not going to go into it any further.
Yeah, you may have phoned this one in, John. Let's be honest.
No, come on. Hold on.
That's a good one. A good
I will
word.
be very
Good
honest.
word, but you took like a little bit of a nosedive the moment you started talking
Yeah,
about
if
it.
you got to keep the energy up the whole way, John. And we're not just phoning in the end here. Like,
All right. I'll be very honest. I looked up shepherd, and I passed because I felt like that was too easy, too light.
I'm
Oh,
sure
it's
you've
like a-
used it before too.
You did more work than the writers of this movie.
Oh,
Anyone else think
just
this?
one writer.
Anyone else think this dude's hair kind of made him look like Splinter?
No.
Yeah. Well, no. You mean
I mean the
What's his name?
rat. I mean the
Casey
The
Jones.
animatronic
rat?
rat.
I was about to say he's a little
Oh,
more
Casey Jones. Yeah,
I think.
from the
Yeah.
movie Elias, yeah, Codius
Yeah,
or whatever.
Codius.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
He-
that up a little bit.
The guy is from. Did anyone watch The Flight Attendant with the?
Yeah, he's. I watched like the first 2 episodes.
Not
of
that
season.
I want you to make fun of me, Joe, but he also was on. He was a fairly long-running character on Game of Thrones.
I
Yeah.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That- I mean, that made based on how boring this was, that made sense.
Okay, dude. All right, Schnorrs. Step out of the wood box and tell us about the other lamb.
The other lamb.
Like, is it just
Um,
a cardboard box that you put wood in, John? Like,
No, it's like a spot in the wall. It's it's in our house. It's like a stone hole in
Your-
the wall.
your wood hole.
It's a wood hole. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
You got it. you just jam it in there, Joe. You know? So
You really
All right.
don't.
Sometimes you got to really, if it's not fitting. But I'll stop.
If it's not fitting, John, you might be in the wrong place.
Joe, there's a lot.
Happy Women in Horror Month, you guys.
We got T-shirts.
So, Caitlin, this is Women in Horror Month, and this film, directed by female director Malgorzata, and her last name, I actually would like Joe to look this up and pronounce because she is Polish. I believe it's Zumowska. Zumowska.
Sure.
Yeah, so I was not familiar with her. She's done a bunch of work. It looks like primarily in Poland or in Polish. I was trying to look to see if any of the other ones were like originally in English language or if this was her first. But the writer here is another woman, C.S. McCullen, who's written. She's actually done some acting. She's done some writing. She's kind of been in a bunch of different roles. But yeah, the story here somewhat straightforward, as we've sort of been alluding to. We have Shepard. I think he is given another name at some point, but at IMDb he's just
Michael?
credited. Yeah, one of
Yeah.
them uses his
Michael.
given name, and he doesn't love that. Shepard has a flock of women. It's, I would say, like 15 to 20, ranging in age from like toddlers or children all the way up through, let's say, like 50s-ish. We kind of meet these folks in the middle, but like
We should point out too, it's modern times, but it's
Yeah.
or maybe like the 70s. I got the vibe from the Cars, maybe or something, but very like anachronistic. Like their little society is very like there's no electricity.
Yeah,
It's all like
they're-
living off the land kind of stuff.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, that's left like somewhat intentionally vague, I would
Vague,
say at the
yes.
beginning, but it is clear that they're living in sort of like rundown, like abandoned RVs or something, or like campers.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so it is somewhat ambiguous in terms of time. And frankly, like it almost like doesn't matter for most of the film. I mean, there is periods where the modern world intrudes, but effectively it's this polygamous cult, I guess we can go back to the easier word, with this guy. And what we see is that there's actually multiple generations, because some of the older women now, that he calls them wives, the sort of like middle, like teenage and younger women, he calls daughters. But the daughters graduate into being wives.
Just cool, normal stuff.
It's, I mean, like, if you're running a polygamous cult, like it's,
Are you saying you stand by the hierarchy, John?
John.
You would.
I'm gonna defend or back, I guess. The main character here is this woman.
Will you condemn the main character in this movie, John? That's the question.
He did some stuff wrong.
Listen, I'm just asking some questions, okay?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there saying things, and I think we just got to get to the bottom of it. That's all.
No, look, he made some terrible mistakes. Is like where I'll leave it, and just go from there. But
what do you think those mistakes are, John? I'm curious.
So the main character. Let's just get through the outline here, Joe. Sella is the main character. She's a daughter. She's like 17 something, 18. She's on the verge of becoming a wife. And it's she's both having her like pubescent moment, but also like
spring awakening. John is the term.
Yeah. But she's also like, her eyes are somewhat opening to sort of like how fucked up the world she's living in is, and so I mean, that's kind of the setup. I'd say there's one other main inciting event, which is the shepherd is visited by police officers. So this is like the first time that we see like, oh, this isn't some like random ambiguous dystopian time or anything. Like, they are living effectively in the modern world. The cops come. It's unclear what exactly is said to him, but he perceives it as a threat to his,
So I had headphones on, and what you make out really clearly is you have to go. You can't stay here, and that's about all you make out.
Gotcha. So it's like a warning from one of the police to him.
Yeah, and it didn't sound particularly hostile. It was just kind of like, you got to go, bro. Sorry.
Yeah. So he basically makes these women leave, and the rest of the film is effectively like a travel.
It's like Lord of the Rings, but 9 hours longer.
Yeah. Yeah. They are walking across like a very deserted landscape. I mean, that was like one of the things that was strange.
Like, where are we? You know what it looked like? It looked like when you see, it looked like Game of Thrones, when you see these like huge Scottish like lowlands or whatever, where it's just nothing but like scrub for miles. Like, that's kind of what it looked like. But it was very desolate and like dead looking.
Yeah.
It was filmed in Ireland, is my understanding.
Boom.
So yeah, I mean,
I know they're different, but
on point. It's another country somewhere in the same
area compared to where I'm sitting now.
The fog profiles very similar.
Exactly, similar fog profiles. That's right.
Brexit.
All right, let's move this train along here. Caitlin, what do you think of The Other Lamb?
I was talking with Casey before we got started about how I feel like this movie was set up for me to like it, but it just felt pandering at the end. It's like, that I like all these things, but just didn't come together for me. They really hit on all sort of the patriarchal dystopian tropes, but in a really heavy-handed way. I think in the email I said that I would have bingo forwards, backwards, and diagonally. It's just the flock and the shepherd and really, really ham-fisted, stark moments of symbolism on the screen that you're really hit over the head with. I don't know. I feel like I was primed to like a movie like this, but I really just didn't get into it, especially the first half. I did like the second part where it picked up and they were traveling and more character development happened. The plot moved along and we actually got to see some action. And I think that it wrapped up in a way that was satisfying. But it definitely, I don't know, like I said, just felt a little pandering. Wasn't my favorite. I did like that we got some really significant menstrual stuff.
Funny, I wrote down the same note.
Yeah, great. We have an actual red tent in this. Red tent being where women in biblical times and anthropologically sometimes in history were made to go to ride out their period. Very, very confusing though, because I would imagine that this happens every 28 days for these women and they're unclean and get shouted at and
Right.
sort of sequestered every 28 days.
I-
It was a little bizarre.
Well, it was unclear if it was like just because it was her first, but yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, because
Some of the
there's
mechanics
a
were left un.
well, who? Okay, but in the beginning, there's another woman in the tent. I couldn't. I can't remember if she was young or just like adult age. Like I can't remember.
She was fasting for her penance for her sin, which I thought she was on her period and she was just joined by the. We have another character that's sort of a like the fallen wife, we'll say, and she was really cool, and I liked her a lot. Her,
She's
her
like the
perspective was
shaman of periods, basically.
That's my Twitter bio. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was set up to be just more than it was. It was a little heavy-handed for me.
Casey.
I can see that. It's interesting hearing Caitlin say that it felt pandering. I could see why she says it feels pandering, and I would say for me, since I wasn't the one that they might have been pandering to, it just seemed like it was pretty over the top and heavy-handed. So, which I think kind of lines up just from the different points of view. This movie is bleak, though, man. They really club you over the head with the patriarchal stuff in this, and I can see where that would probably after a while feel like it's getting a little too much. But at the same time, there's parts of this movie I really dug. I kind of zoned out in the middle of it. There's a long stretch in the middle, lots of walking. It wasn't, you just kind of lose out on. But then they've got good stuff in the beginning that's sucking you in. They've got good stuff at the end that's sucking you in. And the characters, I think, are all pretty strong for our main characters anyways. Some of the side characters, obviously not. But Sala, our main girl, Shepard, the fallen wife, like Caitlin was talking about, that's kind of there, that's allowing Sala to bounce ideas off of her and stuff like that and come to this realization. Those aspects of the movie I thought were really tight and really good. So the character development of it and whatnot.
Joe, and I can't wait to hear this story told.
I don't like the way you say "sucks you in," like over and over again. So I think much like Caitlin, like on paper, this sounded right up my alley, and I was actually pretty excited to watch it. Full disclosure, the wife and I put it on while we were killing time before Temptation Island started, and we had just taken gummies. So we were already like on not a great trajectory with this movie. But
Joe, question: is this related? Because I watched the OG Temptation Island in like 2001. Yeah. Is this like a offshoot or like an update?
It's pretty much the same thing.
Wild. Carry on.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think much like Caitlin too, like it just didn't land for me. There's, it's visually well done, I think. And, I think there's a good story in here if it's trimmed down a bit, but, and maybe it was my state of mind. Maybe it's just everything going on with like the winter blues right now, but there's just a lot of slow panning shots and a lot of just like staring at like unmoving frames. I think at one point Leslie, my wife, even said like these like single shots are the ones that are going to break me this winter.
She loved the zoom. Did you guys notice how many zooms she did?
There was a lot.
I am kind of a slut for slow zooms. The thing is, Joe, like
me too, but
to what you're saying, I think is kind of a larger problem with the movie is like it's like a 90-minute first act. There's like too much establishing, too much setup, and then it's like when it's time to tell us where it's going, it's kind of like, okay.
Because there are like nuggets of interesting things here, right? Like when the main character starts to sort of unravel and, understand that like maybe this prophet that they're following isn't the best guy. Like it does get interesting, but then we go back to like 20 minutes of just walking and slow shots. And the payoff honestly isn't even that great either. So yeah, overall it didn't land for me.
We can talk about it. I just don't think the payoff is earned. And I think the biggest problem is that we're not given enough about where the other women are at. And it's like, except early on in the movie when they all seem completely just in and indoctrinated and like, yeah, like, so like a couple of really bad things happen that kind of expose him a little bit and they're exhausted and shit. But like when the turn happens, like I didn't really see much from the other women to like show me where it was going. And then I feel like it's shown in a clipped dream sequence, and then we don't see it again. When you see it the first time, like it's to me seemed so like not realistic based on what I had seen that I didn't realize it was real. So then you kind of, to me, loses the punch. We can get to the ending, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should come back to that because
So
I didn't read that dream sequence as like I read it as like predictive of the future, but not. I didn't anticipate, or I didn't read that as like that's what actually happened.
Because I don't think it's.
Yeah,
I don't think.
neither
I
did
just
I.
don't think it's done very well. Well, but
Yeah.
he's. I mean, he is at the end. Like,
Do they show him again?
Yeah,
I
yes.
thought
They do, yeah.
the
They
final
show
shot
what he
is the
looks
cops
like at the
finding
end.
him. Yeah. So like, let's
All right,
let's wait
let's
on the
come
end.
back.
Largely
let's just
though,
talk about
like
the end of the movie right now.
largely though. So here's the thing that I think you guys are royally pointing out a lot of the plot issues. What I will say, just to like say some good things about this movie, it looks fantastic. Like I really think that this director has a kind of painterly eye, and these landscapes in general, especially once they get into this open country, are just really visually striking. I mean, it's why you want to shoot in a place like this, right? There are like I like the visual contrast of the different colored robes against this like gray backdrop, and like all that stuff I think is really well done. And I think the cast is really great. I like all the main characters. I like the chemistry. I think that where it falls short for me is just like I feel like it again, like I really just came out of feeling like I just watched a 90-minute first act. It's like there's not a lot of transition from act to act to me. From a character perspective, like yes, the story changes, but like I don't see much of a character journey. Like even that girl, it's like the switch flips instead of seeing it go like this to me in a way, which is not going to help that hand motion anybody listening. But so
Audio show.
this movie also is like there's way too many scenes of this dude sticking his hand in someone else's mouth. Like this is a thing with me.
That
like,
was at least like
listen,
a choice.
first
I
of
felt like
all,
they were
you
doing
ever
something.
are you
there.
familiar with the wrestler Mick Foley, John? Because that's his
Yes.
finishing maneuver that he's
Oh,
doing right there.
Eric, did you know that Mick Foley is, I'm not even kidding,
From
a
Richmond,
huge Tori
Virginia.
Amos fan?
Oh, amazing. I follow him on Twitter. I would actually buy that. He seems like a real Renaissance man. But
Had to bring it back.
listen, just
Welcome
don't.
back to
Even
Tori
in a
Amos
loving
podcast.
situation, even in a loving situation, Schnars, don't put your hands in people's like your hand. That's gross. Like no,
Is it a loving situation? Like I
it's
don't
not.
Think
That's my
what-
point. It's awful
I think
here.
when the
but I'm
gagging starts, the
right.
loving stops.
What I'm
John.
saying
This
is-
is what love looks
Yeah.
like.
What I'm saying is it's awful here, but there's no place where it's good. That has nothing to do with this movie. It's just a thing I wanted to make sure I said.
Sounds pretty kink shamey there,
I
Joe.
didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in this situation, I want to clarify because in other situations, maybe the gagging is loving. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm,
If
If
you're
it's what
just
you're
doing it
into,
with
that's
one
fine.
person, then I'm
Okay.
okay with it. But when you're doing it to multiple people, no, I'm kidding.
Oh,
it's a pattern.
again, John, I don't
my
judge. I'm just
my
saying.
my point being, I think there's a lot of visual flair to this movie. I really don't think any of it comes together, and I think they kind of don't stick the landing on the ending, which could have to me was listen. Like here's my one thing I wrote in my original email. It's like a little too fart housey for me. It's like a little too navel gazy, and it doesn't get to its point. I feel like fast enough or in enough of a clear manner. It's kind of how I felt.
Did you want me to say how I felt about it
Sure.
too, or okay?
Oh, you're so put upon, John.
I
Sorry.
agree. I agree with Eric. No, for me, it was too straightforward. Like you knew where this movie was going to end 5 minutes in, and it doesn't even really take any twists. The thing, because I actually would say I generally was like, okay, like I was probably on the higher end of the group in terms of enjoying this. The thing I would say I like the best about it, and this is going to sound weird, you all can whatever make jokes about it, but it's like it felt like a realistic, like it was a naturalistic portrayal of this type of culture or like society. Like,
Yes.
and I don't say that in like a positive way. I'm just
Yeah.
saying like,
That's fair. Like
the,
it
mo-
did.
no,
yeah,
the most interesting
It would-
part is the hierarchy and see because she does do I think a pretty good job of laying that out and the way that there's kind of a because of the indoctrination like the women put their own social pressure on each other, right? Like he only does so much work and then they sort of once they're indoctrinated can continue the cycle or whatever.
yeah, I mean, and look, like that stuff's done better and more interestingly in other places and other movies. Like, so there's not a ton that's super duper original here, but I guess I would agree pretty strongly with Eric that like the movie looks good. I would say I was like less excited about some of the acting. I mean, not that it was like terrible, but I didn't think the main character was like. I don't know how much of it was her or just the script. So like I'll give the actress that, but I don't know. So yeah, like this held my attention. Like I got through the movie pretty easily, but there were times where they were walking or there was like a real slow zoom and I was like, I could check the basketball scores
No,
real quick.
I was
See, for me, the
hardcore.
walking was the interesting part. I feel like, that's where some of the most brutal action happened.
It is
Just
interesting in
walking,
that
you
part.
mean? Like that brutal?
And I think there's too much walking, but it is interesting in that part to see how, and this is where a thing that I think works really well is you see like because part of like these people, I feel like who become cult leaders like this, it's like extreme control over their own emotions. Like if you're like that good at manipulating other people, it's partly because you can feel nothing while you're doing it. But what we see is like they're just walking for days and days and days, and he is kind of like breaking in his own way, or he's just getting his ability to act cool under pressure is cracking, and that's sort of cracking the whole dynamic of the group. And I think that part is pretty interesting, like to see him lose his like cool. It leads to
Well,
some
I
of the
think
more fucked up scenes in the movie too.
Like I think he's starting to realize that like this flock that he's put together is now starting to turn against him also because I
Right.
mean we don't really get like a full idea of how long this journey is, but it seems
seems
pretty
long.
grueling.
Yeah.
And like
He didn't even know where they were going, did he?
Yeah, I was gonna
I-
say it doesn't
I
seem
don't
like he
I
knew
don't
what
think
was going
so
on.
because it's definitely like, and we're not spoiling anything, but like they get to a point where he's like, what does he call it, like paradise or something?
Eden.
And you can kind of see like the group walk over and like look, and it's like, no, this is just a fucking lake, buddy. Like what? What happened?
Well, everyone's
Like-
real broken by that scene too, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that was what was so great, like with that fallen wife character, and listen to her talk to Sala and kind of confirm her thoughts and everything, just to feel how far she was broken, and then seeing those scenes where you see where she's still going to go along with it. Because like there was a scene where she was talking to Sala somewhere in the middle there, and she was talking about where else am I going to go? I've been here so long, I don't know how to do it on my own anymore. Is essentially what she was saying.
Yeah.
It's that part of the writing that was like the most heartbreaking of it, to see how this stuff, and the most horrific, right? To
And then
see how
she
far he's
leaves.
broken him down.
And
Yeah,
then-
Well,
and then
that-
she
yeah.
takes
and then
off.
she is gone.
That was like one of my biggest gripes with sort of the narrative structure is like that character is a really interesting character.
Yeah.
It has some of the most interesting moments in the movie. But it's sort of undercut by how easily she walks away. And like obviously it's not like she just like up and leaves. Like there's like the
But there's no
Essentially-
resistance from him to her leaving. I mean, or he doesn't
No.
have such a tight grip that he's like watching her 24. So like she literally just walks away with
well,
it.
and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Well, there's an
like,
inciting event there that
sure. I mean
Part of
like,
me almost wondered, did she like refuse to let him do it to the baby, and he just went, cool, like bye? Because I don't know, like the ease with which she left seemed surprising to me.
Well, I got the
My thought
impression
it-
he was just leaving the baby, right? Sorry to cut you
Yeah,
off,
yeah.
Caitlin.
no,
And-
my thought was that they're probably just gonna die. Like, if this cult leader shepherd guy is probably like, well, they can leave, but they're probably just gonna die on the trek back anyway.
Yeah. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was my question. Like, where the fuck is she going? Like, and again, like, we don't really
that's
have a
pretty
good
grim.
idea as far as like where they are or like, I don't know. She could be like half a mile from like a busy highway, but
Well, there were roads. Like this is the other. There's a lot of stuff that happens, particularly I would say like sort of toward the end of the first act and then like through the second act, that is fantastical isn't the right way. But it's like it's unclear if it's happening in reality or if it's happening in sort of Sella's head. Like there's obviously this moment where she sees a car driving by and imagines herself in the car. But like my read on that was like there actually was a car driving by, and like she was sort of
Yeah.
having a moment of imagining the life of someone who's in that car.
Oh,
wait,
interesting.
see, I thought she was having a flashback of her like pre-joining the
Abduction.
cult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think she was
that's
born
kind
into
of
the cult.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
then they
assumed
kind
she
of
was
lead you to
born in.
believe
Listen,
they were born in.
Yeah.
This-
yeah, you're
this
right.
stuff is-
Jesus.
In my opinion, confusing, doesn't add to the overall narrative, and is not done very well. Because
See, I
five
felt the
of us have
opposite. I
different.
felt like that surrealist part was, one of the more interesting sort of peaks of the
Right, but I
of the
guess like
track.
my problem with it is that it wasn't clear to me it was surrealist. Like I legit thought it was she just had a twin sister, and then the rest of the movie I'm like, cool, when's this sister gonna stop back in?
She just happened to be driving by on the
Like,
road.
dude, but that's how it's presented in the movie, Schnars.
Mom?
Like,
Well, there is
Mom,
I-
stop.
this movie does not have internal, consistent logic with like what's a
No.
dream, what's a like whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I would say that
I don't
they
buy
set
it,
up the fact
Schnars.
they would set up they set up the fact that there's a ton of surrealistic shit going on pretty early, and so like that's where I mean I think you are forced to like reckon with, is stuff happening in reality or not all the time, right? I mean, you mentioned the dream sequence where we see him getting sort of mauled, the shepherd. You know, and I think sort of to Caitlin's point, I would also say that those are some of the more interesting. Like, I was more willing, Eric, you derisively called this fart house earlier. Like, it 100%. This is, we watched, what was it, St. Maud last time. You know, we were joking about how A24 that movie was. This is like, almost like A24 stuff is a little tighter.
Do you know
than
what
this.
though?
Like, this is like a,
A24 stuff to me is always sharper with like the thriller stuff, and like there to me, there's always almost always a level of entertainment with an A24 thing that I think calling it A24 is like sometimes reductionist a little. Like, or I guess it depends on what you mean by it, but like this to me is what I feel like people derisively call A24 movies.
yeah, well, this is just like way more like quote unquote classic art house. Like
Fart,
this is
fart housey.
You would have had to go to an art house movie theater to see this. And like, you know,
Like when you see this movie, they're burning incense, but it just smells like your own farts. It's part of the. It's like 4D.
Do you think like if Titus had actually been in this, like if the main character had like fun gay best friend like walking along with her, like this would have been a lot better, right? Like we
But
all agree.
Joe, there can only be one ram in the flock.
Yeah.
Oh, I did like that line. I did like that line. I do. I mean, listen, like there are sequences and shots that I really liked in this movie. I just don't feel like it comes together very well.
No.
No, I mean there were some things that I found really interesting that I wouldn't have minded exploring, but the movie just didn't really make time for it or make any avenues for it. I think one thing that it did pretty well, to give it some credit, was that sort of like the disposability of women when they get older.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
we won't spoil exactly what happened, but I mean, sort of like losing your voice. I mean, literally none of them have the ability to tell stories. That's sort of taken away from them by the shepherd. So that's one sort of like heavy-handed metaphor, like you have no voice. But
Get it.
you know, then the disposability of older women specifically, and the sort of indoctrination sexually of younger women, probably way too early. We don't get any sort of read on their ages, but girls get their periods pretty young. So he might be Selah's father. Like it's just
Right.
very
That's my
confusing and
assumption.
gross.
That's
Yeah,
what
I was
Leslie and I
assuming.
were trying to figure out, and like we both kind of assumed he was, which
Yeah,
made
that's
it
what
even
it
more
sounded like.
disturbing.
It's so fucking gross.
Eric just assumed that there was like a twin sister.
It was like a
floating
twin
around
sister
there.
situation, and like it's like, have you ever seen Freaky Friday? It's like that. No, what's the one with Lindsay Lohan?
Yeah, that's freaky.
Parent
Friday.
Trap. No, it
Parent
was a
Trap.
Parent
Thank
Trap.
you.
You're right.
It was like a
There was
Parent
like-
Trap situation,
Her sister was living in a normal life somewhere.
but like with
It's
Casey.
I think Lindsay Lohan was also in Freaky Friday, though, right? With
Oh, she was.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
it's like
It's a
it's
good
like
movie.
it's like Parent Trap, but if Casey Jones ran like a sex cult, it's kind of what it's like.
This is how old I am. I always think of Haley Mills as the Parent Trap.
yeah.
Joe, that wasn't even our generation. That was like the 70s or something, wasn't it?
No, I think it was before that actually, but
Yeah.
like that was definitely the one I grew up on watching.
Well, because they that was the kind of crap they played on Disney at like 9 a.m.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I loved it.
You probably like the black and white Mickey Mouse Club or whatever too.
Oh yeah, the old school one.
Yeah.
Annette, we talked about Annette. I always say it wrong. It's Funicello or
Yes,
Funicello,
it's
whatever.
Funicello.
We talked about her last week. Like, yeah, she was A-okay in my book.
Got it.
Joe said, the more racist the Mickey Mouse cartoon, the more into it he is.
The only weird old stuff I liked on Disney were the weird old nature documentaries that I then grew up and found out they were probably like abusing animals while I made them.
Oh my God, The Living Desert. I watched like constantly. You probably saw this one. Like, yeah, it was like one of those old.
It was like mid-morning filler on Disney in like the late
Yeah.
80s, early 90s.
Those were great. Yeah, I was a big fan of those.
Cool.
This movie, though,
The other
No.
the other
Let's-
lamb. There's animals in this. I did
it
like.
was a real. I was gonna say it was a real like sort of Euro model UN situation. Like I feel like the actors and the actor. So he's like from the Netherlands. He's Dutch.
Is he really?
But then like the women were like Irish. The main woman's British, I think. Like they're kind of all over. I don't know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, John.
Well, the director's Polish, Joe.
That's a
I
good
thought you'd be
point.
very excited.
He's
I've
trying
got-
to say the guy was diverse.
Are we just like grasping at like any sort of details now?
I am.
The movie came out in 2019.
Joe, your ancestors came from Poland generations ago. Doesn't that mean
Yeah.
something to you?
Yeah, I'll check my 23andMe and see
He
maybe.
I usually get
My
pretty excited about the old,
23.
polls.
So I sent out a thing in the email, and this is one that I lost track of when watching the movie and happened to look up. And there was a scene, I think it was shortly after they left the first encampment and they'd stopped for the night for dinner. All the ladies, the flock, are sitting around the fire eating stew, and you see the dogs that are walking, that the shepherd keeps with him, are eating something bloody and gross off to the side. And then they cut to them and they're eating the stew. Were they eating one of the lambs? Do you
I
think?
don't know what
assume
else they
so.
would have been eating. Yeah, like that.
Because they were talking some about with the stuff with the kids, and that was before they'd shown us what happened with the kids and whatnot. And after a while, they didn't really highlight. It's like, God, how far down are these people in this?
Are you asking if they
cult?
ate the baby?
Yes,
A
that's
baby
what I'm
or
asking.
something? Got it. Okay, just checking. I think I just assumed it was a lamb because I didn't see anybody hunting.
Yeah,
I assumed it was like, oh, they're sacrificing this literal lamb, for the good of the flock, and then, we'll probably see some sacrificing of the metaphorical lambs later on, and then we do see like a very explicit symbol of him sacrificing a lamb in a very farthousey shot. So
Lamb chop.
I just assumed it was
sounds-
all related in that regard.
Lamb chop sounds real good right now. Question, Joe, is that white meat or dark meat? Lamb.
I think that's dark, right?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Gamey?
think so.
Maybe
I mean, like, how
Not
bad
like
are things
chicken,
if you
it's-
like a
do
hollandaise
have
sauce.
lamb
Yeah, but isn't
chops,
pork
right? Like,
isn't pork technically white meat?
yeah, pork is
other
the
white
other
meat.
white meat. Yeah.
Right, John.
Yeah.
I saw the commercial. I'm gonna
Alright.
I'm gonna Google. Anyway, I think we're
I
maybe
don't know if
done
That's like a
with this.
zoologically accurate or whatever.
Well, I'm
I
gonna,
Well,
don't think
before
that's
we
the right
wrap,
term.
I do want to say that as heavy-handed as it was and as pandering as I thought it kind of felt, I did like, without spoiling anything, the end where she finally does have a voice and she's telling a story and she uses the phrase like a wild woman made of moonlight and teeth, and I was like, oh, that's a visceral image that I actually
I did like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So to
Yeah.
give it some credit,
well,
because
because in
did hit me.
the like flash forward kill scene, like there's some biting happening. There's some like rending of flesh with teeth.
yeah.
Yeah. Which is cool. I mean, every other line in my notes is like, I wish someone just fucking killed this guy. So
Yeah,
And then
that
they
dream sequence was doing it for me.
he's real creepy.
Do we want to drop a spoiler and talk about like how this whole thing wrapped up at the very end?
We kind of did. didn't we?
Sure, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I'm talking like, so once we get there, the lack of a reveal of what happened and what Salad did. How do you guys feel about that? The
What do
fact
you
that
mean?
we see the start of it and we see her slap him, and then we cut to
Well,
the next
right.
day with the modern civilization showing up.
It's disjointed. Here's what I read it now, having seen the whole thing. I think that quote unquote dream sequence is exactly what happened. For some reason, they
Yeah.
cut out the between the slap and then what happened, and then at the very end, we see him like flayed and like hanging from a tree. So like, that's what I think I'm
Well, with
supposed
the
to
ram
believe
horns on,
happened.
too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but like, I just think it's really. I've seen that kind of device. It's like in a gangster movie when they're like, here's what we're gonna do, and even though we're in the planning stage, we're like actually seeing it play out, right? They're almost it's almost trying to, it's like you're trying to chop up the narrative a little
It's
bit,
like a flash forward.
but then
sort
it's
of.
like it just wasn't clear to me that it was real. So then when it was, I'm like, oh fuck. So like so I don't even get the satisfaction of like feeling. I want the satisfaction, here's what it is, of them murdering this dude, and when you're
Right.
seeing it happen, you're not 100% positive that it's real. Then when the movie's letting you know it's real, you're like, fuck, dude, I don't even get to like, I just want to see them stab him. or,
Well, but
like,
that's I think that's intentional. Like that's the choice to deny you that sort of gratification.
I
That
will
that
not be denied.
well,
Schnars.
sure, but like she's
boy.
she's not making a movie that's about him or like punishing him. It's about the women, I don't know, growing above or like rising above. You know, like
I
to
feel
me
like-
that was the decision. Was it's not about him and his punishment. It's about them.
So,
It would have been a little bit more believable. I mean, there was an inciting event, we'll say, that really sort of turned the tides of anger. But I feel like so many of the women in the flock were such believers that
right. That's what.
I
Yes.
guess, I would have liked to see more rage kind of like overcome them to get to that point, because there was still seemed to be a lot of fear and reverence for the shepherd.
Yes.
Right,
Up
or did
until-
any of
How?
them
That's what we're not
fight her?
shown. That's what we're not shown. Like
Yeah.
we are shown
Yeah.
some dissension. Obviously, they're
Right.
exhausted. The thing with the pregnant woman, like we're shown that stuff. But you're exactly right. We don't see the rage boil over. We don't see the moment where they all fight to overcome their fear. And it's partially because of the disjointed way this was intentionally edited at the end.
Well, and I wondered if even some of those, daughters understood what happened to the wives. Because I mean, my understanding was that they understood, and that's why they acted, and he ended up the way he did. But I don't know. I feel like gratification wise, I understand what you're saying, Eric. I wanted to have seen that and have it feel a little bit more earned.
Well, and I think, Eric, you made the point right at the top, which I hadn't thought about it this way, but like I totally agree with this, which is that like they don't feel like they went through a journey. And so for Sella, it's one thing, but for all the rest of them, and Caitlin, you were sort of just hitting on this, like it's like seeing that rage, or like you get like tiny little glimpses, like he's doing like little things to like start to piss them off, but they never have an arc. They're just like completely subservient.
It's from 0 to 100.
right up until the very last second. Yeah. So that is definitely a miss in my mind.
All right.
Yeah, because part of it, you want to see his creation come apart too, right? Not just like the retribution, but you want to see this whole little society that he built come apart and turn against him too.
Well, they remade it, right? Like,
you know what
that's
though?
the-
It's just like
that's the point.
she's just making a decision to keep this an art house movie at the end, and that's what art house movies do. Like they're not always going to like placate the we're just the unwashed masses of the audience, John. We don't know what we want.
Well, you're definitely unwashed, I can tell, but otherwise,
I showered this morning, and I actually washed my hoodie, John. So this is even clean.
unbelievable. No, but I did like that last shot, and like, Casey, to that point, like,
I liked the cops being like, "This is messed up, man."
This
No,
sucks.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, but it's like they weren't like trying to return to society, like they were remaking the group that they were in, but on their own terms. I mean, or on terms that didn't involve the shepherd, I guess.
And John, their hair was down afterwards. It wasn't in braids.
Totes.
Heavy symbol. Let's
It's
go.
it's like a reverse.
That's
she's
how
all.
I wear
you
it
know
every
what?
day.
It's a reverse. It's reverse. She's all that. That's what that is, Caitlin.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, guys.
I
Would
think
you
that's the main takeaway.
would you recommend this movie, Caitlin?
Even though I didn't love it, throw it on.
John,
See if we're wrong.
I'm gonna say yeah as well.
Joe,
No.
Casey.
I'd say yeah.
I'm gonna say no. I dig this director style a lot. I'd love to see like whatever the
Yeah.
next project is, but this thing, especially in 2021, listen, it's not this movie's fault that I've seen a million movies this dark in the last year. But I do think we've seen other movies using a lot of these same things that are done a lot better. So I don't know. Unless you're
I almost like it wasn't dark enough. Like it definitely, there's scenes where I'm like, I don't care for this, but like I didn't feel like I needed a shower after I finished this or anything, which is usually like John's fare, right? Like
I know. I was
usually-
like, wait, there's people alive at the end? Like nobody's wearing a skin suit or like
yeah.
I don't know.
He
Yeah,
had the ram's horns on his head. I mean,
it's not for me, but
that's fair.
whatever.
We didn't even get a panning shot of it, though. It was just sort of like
Yeah,
through the
it
woods.
was
I was like,
very
oh, let me
quick.
see. I want to see it.
Listen,
Yeah.
art house movies are about withholding, Caitlin. And that's just not my
I
love
like it.
language. You know?
It's not
Here we
my
are.
love language.
All right, guys. It is time. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
I'm a giver.
Same dude.
He jumped. I was like, it's okay, honey. You'll be all right. And she's just on the edge the whole time. Being able to scream in a theater is fun.
The best scary movie since The Sixth Sense. You'll have a spooky good time.
You're the scariest movie I've ever seen.
The Ring, rated PG-13. Now playing.
I'm Ray Wise from Twin Peaks, and you are listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. You want to talk more about your love language, Joe?
I was when in that the Ring promo where the kid's just talking about like feels good to scream in a theater. Like, do you picture him like not like screaming at the movie, just like turning to the person sitting next to him, just be like, "What the fuck?
We're at the fucking movie."
Like, does he go to the movies just to like get out like a lot of like tension?
Right. That's a good question. I don't know, Joe.
We'll never know going forward.
It is, of course, as mentioned, Women in Horror Month. We have a new shirt design in the store with a really cool pink logo, or like I don't know what color that is, pinkish.
I think it's
neon
pink. I don't know
Yeah.
why you're overthinking it.
All
It's
of the
fine.
proceeds this month go to RAIN, which is the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. It is a very cool charity doing a ton of really important work, especially now. So check it out. Go to shirts.bloodygoodhorror.com and you can see it. I've been seeing like so many people have been posting in Slack. Theirs have been showing up on like the baseball tee and somebody today. I saw a guy on my Twitter. He had like a gray T-shirt with it on. It looked really cool. We mentioned the pillows last week, which are like amazing. So shirts.bloodygoodhorror.com. Check that out. Also, you can email us info@bloodygoodhorror.com. We got a message from Andy. Sophie has a review of The Other Lamb. We also have our very first post from Alyssa. Joe, you know Alyssa.
Yeah, she posted it today. We put it up there.
She's been running the BGH Book Club. She has a list of 9 horror books written by women authors, including some young adult options. Stay tuned for more bookish content from her. That's from Andy. Look at the burps, Joe. Sorry, dude. Next up, Randy, our boy Randy. He's a long time. Final question. He was entering the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards or whatever made up award thing they do. The final question on their survey is, what is your favorite kill of the year? Thoughts, last year, all time, whatever. Up to you if you want to put a time frame. Last year, my vote went to Color Out of Space and the Mother Son 7-Eleven microwave food product.
Oof.
That was some nuclear level edible shit going on right there. That's from Randy. I have an answer for this. It's when Jason rips out Horshack's heart at the beginning of Friday 13th Part 6. He, like one fell swoop pulls his heart out, and then he falls into the grave that Jason just came out of.
That is a good. Mine is Jason also, but Jason X. I love that scene where he puts the two like VR women in the sleeping bag and just like bashes them against the tree. Like that always makes me laugh.
Yeah, mine was actually the same as Randy's. It was going to be the for 2020. My favorite kill was the mother-son combo from Color Out of Space for sure.
I was thinking about I don't even know if it's a kill, but in Possessor where she's wearing that dude's face and the dreams.
God, John. Seriously. Just...
Yo, like I'm never gonna forget that. Like I don't care, you know what happens in this fucked up world, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I had said on the pre-show that my favorite kill was Rush Limbaugh, but I don't know if that's the case.
Heyo.
That's
Cancer for the win.
Nailed it. Cancer for
Got
him.
Oh, sorry.
Cancer? I hardly know her.
It's okay. We can say it, Ellen.
You guys are going to get us more bad iTunes.
I think that's the best answer possible, so I might as well not even try anymore. Joe, that's it for email.
All right, we got some tweets. We are on Twitter at BG Horror. Every week we post up. You can send in a question with the hashtag AskBGH, and here we are. We'll answer those questions. First up from my one and only fan, Renee. If you have to join a movie cult, which one would it be? I think I'd go with the one from The Endless. I like the idea of never aging.
I have too much of a problem with authority to ever be a part of a cult. Like the second somebody started trying to tell me to do some shit, I would be like, "Fuck off!" I am
I don't know. I could get into the right cult like pretty easily. Like the right, like I don't know, the Midsummer cult. Like I'm not 100% clear on like what the dynamic there is, like specifically for males.
Right.
But like if I could just be one of those guys that just harvests crops and like
right.
plants
I mean,
things,
of all
like,
the cults we've viewed,
in.
like Midsummer seems to be the most egalitarian.
Yeah, and undirty. Like I don't want to be in a dirty cult that's like struggling for food. Like that.
In fact, doesn't that cult have like a matriarch?
Yeah, they seem to be doing all right. Like there was feasts.
She
like
calls
every
the shots. She's in the lottery.
That's what I'm saying, Caitlin. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're thinking cults like removed from society cults, but I'm pretty sure that the sort of like Paimon worshippers in Hereditary are also a cult. So you could be fully integrated into society too.
Joe, you could just sell some
They
like
had sweet powers.
Joe, you could just join one of those bullshit. You could sell some candles or some horse shit on Facebook. That's essentially a cult.
I mean, but my prerequisites are eating, being clean, and like no weird like incest stuff. Like I just don't. Like I just want
regular sex stuff.
Joe, how do you feel about one?
Totally.
Joe, how do you feel about maybe one or two fingers in the mouth?
I mean, I'm fine with fingers in the mouth. Like I don't like gagging. I don't enjoy that sensation. But like I'm cool with fingers in the mouth.
Please don't put your fingers in my mouth.
But I mean, if she said that she was into it,
or
and
my
was
fingers in your
okay,
mouth,
I'd be okay
like
with it.
no, that's psycho. I'm very intrigued by this, Joe.
Yeah, see, I know I would mention a cool cult that I'd be a part of, but I know as well as anybody I'd end up with the two incompetent old people from House of the Devil. They can't do their ceremony right.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot how that ended.
Joe, is your cuckoo clock going off?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
it does it every week. Every week.
8 o'clock.
I don't hear it every week.
Oh, yeah.
I think, this episode has
Can
a
we
lot
listen?
of lulls.
All
right, next up from, and this might be first time question, Ashley Austeri. How accurate do you think the film was given what we knew about certain religious cults? I think, John, like you talked about, like it felt real. Like this seemed like.
I think the stuff,
it was a plausible presentation.
The stuff that feels realistic to me is less about the tangible stuff than it is about the way indoctrination works in groups like this. Like I feel like was the most interesting stuff to me.
Yeah.
Well, and the way that isolation works. I mean, we have a cult expert in Slack, Natalie, and I think one thing that I've learned from her is that the way that cults are effective is that they do separate you from friends and family. And this like fallen wife, I think her name's Sarah in the movie, she's unable to re-enter society because she has nowhere to go back to. And I think that's effectively, you're effectively managing your cult members by cutting them off from the outside world.
The thing I felt was unrealistic about this movie, and we touched on it a little bit, they travel a lot, and at no point do they see any other humans or even like a sense of humanity. There's like a rundown house they run into at one point.
John, the twin sister drives right by.
Yeah, true. Except for the twin sister that drives by in the car. That was super realistic. But no, like they get to that huge lake, and I'm like, if there was a lake like this, like people would be out there like
there'd be like
kayaks or something. Like so.
I mean, who knows in the middle of wherever they were.
Hey Joe.
I think linen. I think I'd want like a cult with linen. Like I just linen. I think that's what really draws me into the Midsummer.
idea that
like,
you
linen.
want actively or like down with being a follower in a cult is. I have so many questions, but I don't.
No, he has like clear, things like.
But that sounds appealing to him, just having all of that stuff taken care of at the sacrifice of his agency. Like he's cool with that.
Well, to not have to make decisions does sound kind of nice.
Yeah,
no,
like,
it doesn't.
Like at my age, if I could just get up and it's like I know my job is to just go harvest the crops and then I go back to bed. Like that would be super.
So the thing, I just really quick on this movie and then also on Midsummer, I was thinking about this. The downside of these cults they're in places that get fucking cold.
Yeah.
in
Well,
winter.
dude, this movie
that's the
looked
other thing. I'm
cold as
like, I
hell.
don't want cold and cults. Like, I want to be in a cult that's like in like the Cayman Islands,
Yeah,
maybe.
let's be very comfortable most of the time.
Linen,
That would be
John. I want linen.
Hey Joe, before let me know between Twitter and Instagram because I have Cameo up and I want to talk about it.
Oh, okay, sure. Next up from Alex Jones. What's your take on chili dogs? Me, won't touch them. Would you touch one? Maybe kiss one? I mean, I've had many a chili dog in my day.
I can't
Yeah.
I can't eat them in my current life, but I have. I'm down, you know.
I don't like
Yeah.
chili.
I would touch one. I'd put it in my mouth. I'd chew it up, and then I'd swallow it.
It's a little
Yeah.
it's a little extreme on the sodium for me. Like
No.
part of the benefit.
Yeah.
Part
I
of the
know.
Chili is gross though.
you know what? You know what I would rather have,
I love
honestly, is
chili.
is really good sauerkraut. That's what I'd rather have on a hot dog.
Sauerkraut's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
in
yeah.
for that too.
Do you remember
What
Oscar Mayer used to make chili dogs that you could buy in the store, but it was like a tube of chili that went down the
Oh,
center of it?
God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like the cheese dogs they had too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah.
I think it was Laura or Cassie. One of the two of them were talking about cheese dogs on Slack a while back, and I'd mentioned those chili dogs there too, because no matter how long you nuked them, they were still cold in the middle.
They were still cold in the middle, and this is disgusting, but like if you ate them and let the chili just sit in your mouth, it would like pop, almost like pop rocks. Like there was
my God.
something
Yeah.
going on there. Like, yeah. It was fucking weird.
I do recall this conversation on Slack now that you mention it.
Yeah.
I would like a giant hot dog combo from Costco. I don't even eat meat, but it does sound really appealing right now.
Oh, well, that's probably your problem with chili. Fusilatoro, I just rewatched the original My Bloody Valentine. Is there a more Canadian slasher movie?
You know, I don't like them. It's not very good, but it is it is campy. Like it definitely has that quality to it.
and
good
it is
with it.
Canadian from what I remember, but
Super.
I've only
Canadian.
seen it once, and it was a while back.
I don't know, like that Yoga Hosers or Tusk, right? Like,
Are we
those
talking
aren't
about? I mean, I
slashers.
mean, to me,
So like aggressively,
Not that
like,
I'm-
they're like attempting to be Canadian.
not that I'm trying to antagonize Joe here, but I think it's Ginger Snaps. If we're talking Ginger Snaps and like Cube is also Canadian.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
I'm pretty sure on the Psycho Gorman episode, Joe talked about the Canadian acting troops on there, so I think he has, by nature, he has to go for that one.
Yeah. It's true. I stand by that, Father. Aylin 1477. Which of all the BGH hosts would receive the final rose from this season's Bachelor?
I don't.
Yeah,
Who's
Joe.
watching
don't-
The Bachelor?
I'm
Joe,
asking-
does
No,
this-
I don't watch the Bachelor.
you know who
either. I
watches
don't
The
know.
Bachelor? Do you guys remember Mark?
Mark. Sorry, I didn't. I screwed up. your
No,
joke
that's
there.
fine. I don't know.
Do I remember Mark? Is that who you were
Yes,
going
he
to ask?
watches. He watches The Bachelor.
Yeah, yeah,
I remember him, and that does not shock me at this point.
yeah. I don't watch them. Sorry.
No.
Oh, crap.
Next up from our buddy Attorney at Space. That's Adam. If you could have only one cryptid exist, what would it be?
Duh. Bigfoot.
I don't know.
Loch Ness Monster. Do you know why? Any kind of special about that when I was a kid, I was like so into it and just like, dude, but look, there's like a shadow in the picture. It's like it's there.
But Eric, we had the Lake Erie monster
Did
right
we?
there in Schenectady, New York.
Oh, I'm not familiar. I'm gonna have to look this up.
Yeah, it's a thing.
mean-
Although you know what, if the Loch Ness Monster turned out to be real, like somebody would either kill it or like capture it to like experiment on, like ET style, and that would be real sad. And I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
You know,
It'd be
Yeah.
like Super 8.
maybe it's better if
Yeah.
the Loch Ness Monster
Kids would have
just
to
stays where
rescue
it
it
is.
and stuff.
Maybe Mothman? Go Mothman on that one.
Yeah.
I had a moment, Joe, and you might remember this with the Montauk Monster. You remember when that
Oh
was?
yeah. Absolutely.
I remember
100%.
being at work and being like, "Whoa, dude, what is that thing?"
Yeah. I know the Jersey Devil a great deal.
Mm.
And then yeah.
Is that I wasn't sure if that was like a cryptid. The Chupacabra is definitely cryptid. Or is the Jersey Devil just like
I think it's
like
a cryptid.
demon or something?
No,
Like,
it's
I
a
would-
cryptid.
It's
Is it?
listed. One, because I had to look up what the hell a cryptid is when
Yeah.
Adam sent this in, and it is listed as one of them.
Okay.
All right. Next up from WSBB Productions. John Carpenter has mentioned the next two Halloween movies going to streaming. Does it feel like they were? Does it feel like that is where they belong at this point anyway?
Well, it depends on when they come out, but I don't 2 movies? Like that's news to me that there's 2 more.
Yeah.
No, I knew they were working on 2 more. I
It's
think
like
they
an
kind of
old
mentioned that.
man Michael trilogy, huh? That's pretty wild.
Well, because I think they're like shooting them, but I think they're not leaving anything to chance.
Here's
with
what
any
I
of
hope,
the
honestly.
talent.
Like, I don't know the answer. I don't know if I have an answer to the streaming question, but like, they kind of did the impossible with that last one, which is like, they went back, whatever, 40 years later, whatever, and they made a fairly serious movie that kind of kicked ass. Don't try to do that again. Like, let's just get batshit crazy. Like, let's act like we're making Friday 13th Part 6. You're not gonna be able to do it classy again. Let's just go not classy. That's what I want to see.
Why
Well,
not
be
go Halloween
be
2?
careful what you're calling for there. They're going to invite Rob Zombie back.
No, you know what I mean, though, right? Like, let's have some fun with like he burned alive at the end of the last movie. You already asked me to believe that didn't happen, so
No, they come on. They definitely solved that. There's an easy answer there, I'm sure. But I'm super into this, like movies going directly to streaming.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
like I want to go back to the theater. I'm ready to go back to the theater when I get a vaccine, and like I will pay to see movies in the theater.
Same.
But like, fuck it, there's a lot more movies I'm gonna watch because I can watch them at
dude,
home.
that
Like,
little.
it's
So
just-
I'm living in this new place now, and that little 1-room like old movie house kind of theater. It's like I could walk from here. They're open again, but I'm just like I'm not. But you can take your mask off when you're eating, so it's like you're not wearing a mask. Like I don't understand. I don't get it.
Would you go back if you had a vaccine?
Both doses, maybe. I guess, yeah.
I would be too scared to still spread it to other people.
Well, that's
like
kind
people
of the
working
thing.
at the theater.
That's kind of the thing, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with John. I'll
They
go
took
back.
their
as soon
lives
as
in their
I-
hands when they signed up for that job. No, I'm
That's true.
totally
God damn it.
totally kidding.
100%.
I mean, I'm still gonna wear a mask, like you know. But...
I was just, I wanted to see your face as I was saying it. Just so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
That's okay.
agree
We
with
have it
you.
on record. It's
Joe,
fine.
is that it for Twitter?
No, we got a few more
Oh,
here.
okay.
Next up, our buddy Toxic Death. Apparently, I used the wrong hashtag when I posted the last one. I presume Joe is drunk, getting the hashtag wrong. Is this a stackable offense or actually worth a promotion? I don't know what that means.
What?
I think me
what's
getting
in-
the hashtag wrong.
I assume sackable, meaning like you would be fired.
Yeah.
Joe
whatever.
wishes that Eric would fire him.
Yeah,
No such luck.
Cut my pay from 0 down to 0.
I think you pay to be on the show, I guess.
Yeah.
I do.
Here's
Listen.
the little no secret. Joe's the Twitters are because he's the only one that.
Joe, you
cares
get
to do it.
paid. You get paid for this by having an audience that wants to pay you to do cameos.
It's true. Yeah.
Then
All right, we
adulation.
got 2 more Twitter here, and then we can go to Instagram. Drop your linen. Jen here, longtime listener, first time questioner. If the only thing between you and a 2-hour orgasm was a 14-hour film about the history of diarrheal treatments, would you go for it? Asking for a friend. The friend is you.
I think the
need
most
coffee.
important part of this quite doesn't a 2-hour orgasm sound exhausting?
Yeah, I
Mhm.
don't.
It's painful.
Yeah.
Right.
I would watch that documentary. I have Crohn's disease, so I'm interested.
What if we brought it down to a manageable? What if we're talking like a 5-minute? Like even that sounds like a long fucking time.
I feel like it would hurt you. I don't know.
I assume it's more like tantric situation where you're not like.
I'll
in
be honest, I'm
constant orgasm.
fascinated by the human body, so let's queue up this 14-hour documentary. I want to learn all about that. That
Yeah,
again, so.
man.
I don't know,
Uh,
but at like an hour 10, I'm definitely going to need a Gatorade break.
Right. You need to replenish your fluids.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel you, dude. Yeah, sure, yes.
All right.
I was
2
gonna
more.
go yes too.
Next up from John's favorite, COW Flanagan. Yo, what's your favorite baby animal to go to town on?
What?
Veal, lamb chops, hey yo schnars.
Jesus
I
Christ.
know you be pounding that caviar. I assume he means to eat, right?
Is
Like,
it a baby? The caviar is not really a
He's-
baby. I feel like
I mean,
That's interesting. Wow.
Eggs?
That's going to take us into the abortion debate.
COW Flanagan with a real mind bender here.
Yeah.
I would not
I'm-
eat veal. I have eaten veal. It is very good. It is not at this point in my life something I would eat.
I would not eat veal either. I would devour it because it is delicious.
Got him.
Well played. Yeah, I mean, there's none of those. There's no baby animal that I'm like, gotta get me some of that. But
Veal
you
is
know.
delicious, John.
no,
Have you
but no,
had-
mean-
like if it's at a restaurant and that's like on the menu, I'm not like.
At this point,
not
I'm
considering
pretty much
it,
only
for
eating.
sure.
I'm pretty much only eating like white meat and fish at this point. So I don't think there's any.
Well, it's like
there's no baby
Suzanne-
versions of that.
But
Yeah,
Eric, if
Suzanne
it was
won't eat
in the air
baby.
fryer,
No.
Yeah.
What won't Suzanne eat?
Suzanne won't eat pigs. You know, she's
Yeah.
like a moral decision she's made.
Really?
She won't eat veal because, like, I guess it's a baby deer. Like, it's like unclear, but her lines are a little
No,
fuzzy.
dude, veal
which
is
I
a
remind
baby
her of.
cow, bro. Like
It's a baby
like
cow.
They,
Oh, well,
they
either way,
stick them
baby
in
cow.
boxes. and, like,
What's the baby deer? There's a baby deer thing too.
Really?
Venison, I guess, is a deer.
Jesus,
In
you
any event.
Cruella Deville. God damn, Schnorrs.
I mean,
Baby deer.
I don't know. Venison's pretty good.
No, it's not.
I don't know.
It's garbage food.
I will literally eat any animal. I don't care if it's like looking me in the eyes right before they shoot it in the face. It's us versus them.
Okay.
All right. Last up on Twitter, Robale. Best movie or TV full frontal dong?
Oh, dong. Good question. You know, what was that? Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's pretty funny in that movie.
Yeah, it's a good one.
What's that movie? Bronson with
I haven't seen
if
that.
Cece was here, she would agree with me. What's his name? John Hardy? Tom Hardy?
Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
That's also a good one.
I've seen that one. You're right. That was impressive.
There's that one where Viggo Mortensen is battling some dude in the locker room.
Eastern Promises.
Yeah.
Also
I can only
a
think of funny
classic.
ones. Like suddenly I'm thinking of The Hangover when Ken Jeong like jumps out of the back of the truck and he's butt naked.
I like my dong serious, Eric. That's just me.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
I like a good.
It's
fight
hard
dong.
for
Like,
me
I'm
to
with
take
you.
the scene seriously when it's just like in the breeze. Like I don't know. It's not a very serious look to me.
I mean,
What
I
about
always go
Marky
back-
Mark's stand-in and Boogie Nights?
Yeah, I think it was. I think that's prosthetic. I think that's what the deal with that is.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah.
I always go back to rare exports. You guys remember when we were
Yeah,
on
that is Santa
It's like
Peen. Okay, that's a pretty good answer.
Stop.
Yeah.
A lot of Santa dick. That's it for Twitter, Eric.
All right, Joe. We put out a bunch of a call during the month of love here to see if anybody wanted to have you prepare their lovers.
What?
I'm curious, like, did this happen? So I'm looking at, I can see the previous 5 without signing up or whatever. Some of them are labeled #roast, which I'm kind of fascinated by. But are there any in this recent batch here where you're like talking to someone's lover here?
The last one that's on there. We put out the call and one person answered.
Where it says the one #gift. Okay, should I play
probably.
this? Is that okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
as
let's
long
do
as
it.
because full disclosure, people can set them to private, so I'm not positive what you're about to
Well,
play.
but I'm on the public page, so presumably
Yeah.
this is not private. I mean, listen, they're paying you to do this. I think they know what they're getting into.
You brought this on yourselves. Whatever.
Oh,
Litigation
hi. I didn't
pending.
see you there. Hey, it's Joe from Bloody Good Horror. I was just watching The Notebook, Jenny. You know, just something I do to keep myself in my sensual prime, as you want to do around this time of year with Valentine's Day coming
Sensual
closer and sensual titillations bubbling up in everyone. Just you want to be on your moistest, and I feel like you'll watch movies to reinvigorate your inner juices, and it gets just everything's flowing, and that's really what you want this time of year, Jenny. But that's not what we're here to. Well, it sort of is what we're here to talk about. Your loving husband, Cody, wanted to, send in a request to, just kind of toot all of your horns, as you will, if you have more than one. I don't know. Look, I don't know what, you're open to, what sort of love making you and Cody do. I feel like someone named Cody is like, things get animalistic in the bedroom. But again, that's not what we're here to talking about. It is kind of what we're talking.
I don't know why, but I kind of feel like Cody is a person, like a name of a person who shaves their whole body. Cody, can you let us know?
Yeah, I think I get into that.
Yeah. Interesting.
About though, right? Because he wanted to wish you a very happy Valentine's Day. He pointed out these facts. You drink like a fish. You enjoy the beer. You've been listening to Bloody Good Horror since the beginning. Which honestly, I think
that's awesome.
It's up for debate what my first episode was. But honestly, and Jenny, you don't have to send me an email to confirm this or anything. Although if you did want to put it, maybe if you give a review for this, as long as it's a 5-star. Maybe mention that the episodes that before I joined, and even the ones I'm not on now, are just shit, for lack of a better word. Trash, I think others would. Anyway, we're not here to toot my horn. I'm here to toot your horns, Jenny. or toot them for your husband Cote. But anyway, just he wants you to know, and I want you to know, Jenny, you're appreciated. You're a teacher, which at this day and age, and especially right now with everything going on, like you're obviously like the frontline work. I don't know if you're considered a frontline worker. I would guess, right? Like you're up there. I mean, you're not physically saving lives, right? Like you're not like in the
we're just gonna keep going because I'm really enjoying this. So
nurses and doctors and all that are they're a little bit above teachers right now. I mean, I think you'd agree with that. But I mean, teaching. I've got a 9-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Joe, real quick question: is this the Notebook playing behind you? Because there's a movie playing the TV behind you.
Yeah. I put on the Notebook in the background.
You're so thorough. I like it.
In 4th grade, we had the parent-teacher conference the other night. God bless her teacher. She seems tired. I don't blame her. I would be. We're tired. Everybody's tired. You're a saint, and to be doing it in high school, like I can't imagine. At least 9-year-olds you can threaten, right? Like you can. So you better pay attention. High school kids, like God knows they're on Molly. They're doing premarital sex. God knows what's going on with them. So the fact that you're dealing with those kids, like, bless you. And your own kid, you've got a 3-year-old. So you're dealing with the high school kids. You're dealing with the 3-year-old. God, I mean, Cody, I'm sure is helping out, but.
When do we get to like set in the mood here, Joe? Right now, you're just bringing me down. Does this come back or?
Yeah, probably not.
Okay.
From personal experience, like I'm a goddamn idiot. Like I try and help, but I haven't changed my clothes in like 3 days. But I will tomorrow. So recording this tomorrow will be Valentine's Day. So you'll probably be watching this on Valentine's Day. So know that I have changed my clothes. I've showered. I've shaved. I've done all the things that I need to do in order to prepare for hopefully a night of lovemaking. If not, if it doesn't happen, hey. It's okay, right? No pressure to my beautiful wife, and hopefully Cody isn't pressuring you. But, if you do decide to sort of take that plunge and intertwine in sexual delights, like, make sure you get yours first, right? Like, Cody, I assume, you both enjoy the beer. Maybe you've had some wine. Like, Cody's gonna, things might not be functioning at 100%, but just make sure you get yours, Jenny. Okay, that's really what the point of this Valentine's Day is. Because if it isn't for that, like, what else are we doing here, right? Like, what's it all mean anymore? Anyway, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm sure I've made this whole thing uncomfortable, but if nothing else, I hope you've gotten a good chuckle out of it. Maybe you and Cody are like into like weird stuff and like this is your foreplay. Maybe instead of like an erotic movie, whether it's your 50 Shades or if you guys go harder into the we've talked about Pirates on the show, which is one of the earlier porns that I owned on DVD. You get everything on the internet these days, so just stream it from your phone, whatever you guys need to do to get your business titillating. This is too far. This whole thing is too far, isn't it? Right? Like I feel like it started off as kind of a goofy, like, oh, Joe will talk about.
I
sex,
can't stop listening.
It's gone into like uncomfortable territory. So it's best we just cut it off now.
Okay.
So whatever you guys are doing, I hope you have a wonderful meal. I hope the 3-year-old goes to bed on time and sleeps through the night, and whatever you need to get some alone time. Just know, Jenny, that your beautiful husband, I mean, I assume he's beautiful, like Cody. There's not a lot of ugly Codys out there, is there? I can't think of any. So I'm sure he's an Adonis and, does everything he needs to do. So he just wants you to know, obviously, that you're appreciated, and happy Valentine's Day. Thank you from Bloody Good Horror for being a listener for all these years. Thank you for inviting me into your boudoir to be a part.
I mean, at this point, I've never gotten to an end of one of these, so I'm just kind of fascinated to hear. Like, I'm a little shocked to hear some sincerity, Joe, but I like it.
I always, wrap up with a thank you.
This
not a
special
monster.
evening for which you two are about to embark on. And happy Valentine's Day, and I hope you have a great time. Thanks.
Wow. I have so many questions.
Pro work. That's pro work right there.
Thanks, man. I give each one of these my all.
My head is
They're divorced
swimming
now. I
right
didn't
now.
want
Yeah,
to
like I
let you know
can't.
that,
Okay. What do I even say to that? That's a lot. I don't. Was that the only Valentine's one you got?
Yeah, it is. Nobody else wanted to take the
Well, I love it, dude.
I don't know. That's the best ad you can have.
Thank you,
though, right?
Cody. You are the man. Cameo.com/bloodygoodhorror. I want to play one of these ones that say roast, Joe. Is this you literally roasting someone?
I probably. I don't know.
I mean, you went out of your way to put hashtag roast on this, so.
No, I don't hashtag them. They I think whoever puts in the request,
Well, let's see what's
selects, like,
going
a
here, and
specific
then
category.
let's see what's doing here, and then we'll move on to Instagram. Takes a second to play.
Oh, hi, Patrick.
You start every single one of these by going like this. Oh, hi. Didn't see you there.
Oh, so this is Patrick. He watches The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City every week and has started sending in cameos asking me to give my thoughts on that week's episode.
Oh, so I'm not going to play this one then.
Yeah, so I don't think it's actually a roast. I don't know if that's like a right hashtag for it, but
I'm really curious about your face in this one, and you also have this like sweater on, so let's try this one and then we'll move on. I love this. This is my new favorite segment.
Yeah.
Patrick, very excited to have you back. Very excited to discuss this.
Is this him again? Is he doing this every week?
I think I'm supposed to start Joe from Bloody Good Horror here with each one
probably.
of these. But
Also, I can't. If you're playing music, I can't play it because then I got to worry about YouTube.
Oh yeah, I don't know what's playing in the background there.
All right, maybe we're done.
Yeah, it's for the best.
Love it. Cameo.com/bloodygoodhorror. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, Instagram. We're on Instagram, Bloody Good Horror. Every Tuesday we post up. You can send in questions. First, as always, our friend who refuses to use the submission form. If you led a cult, what would be your weird self-appointed nickname? Shepard, for example, as seen in this week's film.
I don't know, man.
Grand Poobah.
That's way too much. That's way too much thought
That's not
for
a bad one.
9:30 at night.
I think I'd be very uncomfortable with any kind of honorific.
Yeah, I don't know.
Call me John, maybe.
It's your cult, dude. Live it up.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I'm not comfortable with the whole premise here.
John wants to be called Comrade because he's in the right kind of cult.
There you go. Yeah, all right, that's not bad.
All right, we got a bunch more here. First up, isn't the winter apocalypse ravaging America enough for you to stop letting John pick depressing movies?
Here's the problem is that we let it go to the last minute. And then anybody that comes in with a suggestion, I'm so relieved to just have that off my plate that I'm like, boom, let's do it. And I like rarely, although I guess I did look at a trailer for this. So
that was 100% not the
I could
story
see
here.
John's
So
head exploding at
you
this.
know, there was a lot of back and forth on this one, Eric. And I had another suggestion. And
yeah, do you really want to get into why we didn't do that suggestion, John? Do you?
I do.
Fine. That's fine.
I know you do,
Yeah,
Joe.
I would like to. I would like to get into this.
Anyway,
I don't know. I'll send an email about it.
do a cameo.
Who's your favorite badass chick in a horror or sci-fi movie?
Oh, Mila Jovovich.
Adrian Barbeau and anything.
Yeah, Adrian Barbeau's pretty good too.
I mean, I went
Ripley and Alien. No.
Yeah, Ripley.
Yeah. I gotta go. I mean, the girl in Your Next is a fan favorite.
I went Elvira. Like, I think she's just the best.
She's a boss for sure.
She's great. And John, you're not on Twitter, but like if you follow her, she's amazing. Like the stuff she posts there, just top notch. Best line in a horror movie. My favorite is always from wait, what is it? My favorite is always some MF trying to ice skate uphill. Blade.
Wow. That's Blade.
That is good.
Yeah.
I mean,
I liked your reply, Joe.
I would have had to come up with a lot. Or, I would have to think about this for a while.
I think we're gonna need a bigger ship from Jawed.
There's a lot of Loomis lines in Halloween 4 and 5 that are probably my favorite.
I mean, anything from Bruce Campbell in Army of Darkness is pretty chef's kiss.
Eric, I thought yours would be I'm sick of your thoughts from Lighthouse.
That's pretty good.
You know what I love that we used to have on a bumper years ago is that dude in Slither, like the mayor. and he's got a rant where he just loses his mind because they don't have Mr. Pibb,
Yeah.
and like it's really good. Like, and he just goes off. It's a lot of fun.
All right, next up, and this I don't know how good of a question this is to just talk about on a podcast. Favorite piece of art hanging in your place?
Well, I'm not living in my own house right now, so I don't have a answer.
Who is John?
Yeah.
So we have two. I posted pictures of both of them. One our friends got us, and it's like this old high school photo. Like this person takes old high school photos and then puts chimpanzees' heads on the. I'll send you guys a picture. It's amazing. And the other one I have hanging right above me. My wife's old boss, when we lived in Jersey, gave her this because she didn't know what to do with it. But it's like this small painting of a bottle of wine, 2 like half-drank glasses, like some flowers on like a table, and a woman's thong for some reason. It's a painting, and I don't like fully understand why, but it's that thing Leslie has tried to throw out at least 5 times, and I always save it from the trash.
I found an antique Ouija board from the 60s at a thrift shop, and it's got like an ancient Egypt theme, and I mounted that in my bedroom, and it's my prized find. And I looked on eBay to see if I could, add to the collection. It was going for $450, so I feel like what was that show where they went to storage units? I feel like one of those guys.
Storage Wars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Storage Wars.
I got it.
That's
I wouldn't let Cece see it.
It's probably super haunted, but I don't care.
She might steal it.
Yeah.
That sounds right up her alley.
All right, where were we? I hate when Tuesdays come and I don't really have any questions. Feels like a waste.
You could ask them on Wednesday, can't you? Or
That's true. I mean, you could think of it Wednesday and just write it down and wait till next Tuesday. Tips on cooking rabbit.
Don't.
No tips.
Just reminds me of that
Only ever
lady.
done it fried.
Reminds me of that lady in Roger and Me, who she keeps keeping rabbits in her backyard, and the sign says "Pets are meat."
Huh.
You ever seen
I
Roger and
remember.
Me, John? It's a
I
good
have, but
documentary.
not in. Isn't that the Michael Moore movie?
It's his first big one.
Yeah. I was gonna say I saw that
It's real
in
good.
high school, probably.
Yeah, I think we had to watch that in high school.
I
Didn't
find
they
it.
eat him alive in Us?
I find it weirdly comforting, John, to watch documentaries about old social problems because I can watch it and be like, "Oh, you guys don't even fucking know. Wait until 2020, dude." Oh, wow,
in honor of
GM moved the plant away. Like, just wait, my guy.
Yeah.
In honor of Mardi Gras, favorite horror movie set in NOLA.
I don't know.
Oh,
I've never seen a lot.
The Houses October Built has a sequence in New Orleans. It's pretty cool. And I think it takes place at Mardi Gras.
Oh,
Or
I'm
no,
gonna
it doesn't. It
say
takes place fucking October.
the Beyond.
Oh, what are? Oh, I went with
that's pretty good.
Interview with a Vampire. Because
Oh
I like
yes, yeah,
sexy things.
that's pretty good too. Yeah, good call.
Yeah. Wait,
Because that's
was
not even.
Last
Not only is
Exorcism?
that New Orleans, but it's like period piece, which is awesome.
Old timey New Orleans. Candyman 2 was in New Orleans as well, right?
Farewell to the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Was Last Exorcism in New Orleans, or was that just like rando?
I think it was
I
Louisiana.
think that was like
It was
Louisiana.
like the woods.
Yeah.
Louisiana.
Back to wood. Here we go.
Right.
Just shove it in, John.
Woodbox.
What's a great snowed in drink?
Whatever you got.
That was mine, actually. That was my reply was like, whatever's in front of you. Like,
Yeah. Oh my
Bourbon
god.
from the cask of a large rescue Saint Bernard.
What's a good intro horror movie for a kid, middle schooler?
Oh, middle
Something
school. They
wicked.
can watch anything.
I was gonna say I was in the deep end by then.
Yeah. But I think like Gremlins, Monster Squad, like that sort of thing.
I mean that Vampires versus the Bronx, like that
Oh
was,
yeah, it's a great
for
one. Yeah.
something modern. I don't know, like that Scary Stories of Dull in the Dark would be sort of more like movie number 2 or 3.
Or what
potentially.
those Goosebumps movies were really good. I enjoyed those a lot.
I haven't seen those.
Those are good. Yeah. All right. Should I do some day drinking? Yes. I mean, I think that's no reason not to. And then probably goes hand in hand. Last one. I'm freezing my ass off. Any tips?
No, because also same. Because my
Have you considered it day drinking?
Yeah, day drinking. I think
Day
is-
drinking.
Also making a fire, which I was recommending earlier. Big fan.
carry a blanket around with you, and that's what I've been doing.
Bourbon.
Get one of those Snuggies. Kids like those.
Yeah.
Oh, heating pad. I'm all about the heating pad these days.
That's not a bad call. I think I need to do that.
A lot of options.
I mean, I guess it gets too hot for me. Is the problem with the heating pad?
I want it to like burn me. I want it even hotter. Take the cover off. Let's go.
My flesh could be, a little distended or.
That'll be fine, John.
That's all we got on Instagram. We're done here.
All right. I agree. Info at bloodygoodhorror.com, Cameo, patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror if you want to get a live stream and back episodes and Slack. And don't forget, all proceeds from our store, not just the new shirt, going to Rain this month. Shirts.bloodygoodhorror.com. They're looking real cool. I think we got probably one more week here of Women in Horror Month. And then March, whatever March is. Nick Cage.
And fucking Man in Horror Month starts.
Horror Month.
Fucking dicks every week.
Swinging dicks. There it is. All right, guys. Thanks, Joe. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
30 days of dicks.
Bye-bye.